What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today we are inside the house back in, a familiar setting in front of the games and whatnot. And we are going to be talking about tournaments, specifically when you travel for events. What all should you have? What all should you be bringing? Especially if you are traveling for your first event, or even if your first event is around the corner from your house. Having the right things in my car has been essential to helping me feel extreme confidence while I'm out there playing those events. But before we dive in, have to ask an important question. How are you doing today, Jennifer? Are you having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
Now, obviously, if you are traveling, it's important to have your bag. And there are a couple things that are going to be in your bag that you may or may not normally have that are actually, I think, pretty important to this process. If you are knowing that you're going to play in some sweaty environment, having like grip, this is filled with chalk, having that on you, super important. Making sure that you have water bottles on you, super important. Obviously, you need to have your discs, you need to have that. But let's talk about the side pockets here for a second, because I think that it's important to note, hey, this is huge. I obviously have my towel that is my towel tail, and I have a mini marker. You have to have that if you're playing in a PDGA sanctioned event, because you never know what's going to happen. And I usually bring a backup as well. This guy actually is a 2-for-1. I have a Trash Panda Mini tucked inside of my Foundation Mini. I have this Polecat Mini that I've been using just because it's a little easier, lighter in the pocket, and why not have a Polecat Mini? But I like having 2 minis just in case you lose one, you forget one while you're out there on the course. You don't have to then ask your card mates if you can borrow one of their minis. And also, if you happen to have a card mate that didn't bring a mini or something or feels unprepared, you can be the savior there, offer that to them. Other stuff I have in my side pockets, I have some Tylenol, I have some snacks, things like that to help me if I feel low throughout the round. But just having your bag, obviously having the right discs, having them trusty discs like, good old Piggy, ready to fly, super important while you're out there on the course or if you're going to play your event. You don't want to travel and not bring your disc golf bag. But this feels like an obvious one, so let's dive into more of the subtle ones that you may or may not be thinking about. So one of the first things that I make sure you're packing, make sure you have, and you may be thinking, well, how would you ever forget something like this? But trust me, I did several years ago. Make sure that you have your disc golf shoes. Whatever you're going to be playing disc golf in, I know lots of disc golfers who will wear, like, let's say Crocs or sandals or something like that when they drive to the course, and then they will change into their disc golf shoes once they get there. I know that I personally, when I went to Creators Cup last year, I drove the entire way there, got out, and realized the next morning when I went to get ready, I did not pack disc golf shoes. I don't have waterproof shoes. And one of the holes specifically, waterproof shoes, would have gone a long way based on what was the tee box situation.
Good toss. Shot. I don't think you, yeah.
Now, another thing that I personally do is I actually bring a backup pair of shoes. So I have 2 pairs of shoes. These are my old shoes that are getting worn in and all of that. So usually I don't end up playing in these. I normally play in my normal ones, but because these are still usable for sure, I have them and I bring them as a backup just in case something crazy happens while I'm on the course. I blow one of these shoes out, a shoelace breaks, and all of a sudden, like, the shoes are super loose, whatever the situation may be. Once again, I'm one of those like be totally prepared kind of guys. And so having 2 pairs of shoes, super helpful. Like I said, just in case something blows, because I don't want to walk into round 2 knowing I have a lead and have to play in Crocs the whole time because something happened to my shoes in round 1. So next on our list, we have backup discs. Now, when you are playing or traveling for courses, especially if you're playing blind, you may not know if there's water carries or obstacles that you have to avoid. And worst case scenario, you may just throw a disc into an open area and lose it. I know, for instance, one time I played a tournament down in Tuscaloosa and I was warming up before the first round, trying to get loose, and I threw a driver shot around the corner into a bush. Could not find that driver, so I had to go back to my car, and thankfully I traveled with something like this so that I had a backup of that disc ready to go. So in here, I have backups to pretty much every mold that is in my bag. I've got a Dune, I've got an Origin, I have inner cores. I have a bunch of pigs just chilling here. These actually have gotten a little wonky in here. So I have a bunch of different options. I've got stalkers, I have wraiths, I have destroyers, whatever that may be. I have a host of different discs in here, and I try to make sure that as I'm updating my bag or if things are shifting around in my bag, that they go in here. And most of the time, let's say like right now, I have a Prodigy PA3 in 500 plastic in my bag. I really love that disc. I think it's phenomenal, but I've only actually ever come across one of them. It has like the Kevin Jones like lion stamp on it. Super beautiful, loving it. But in case I lose it, I don't have another backup. So what I ended up doing was I just took the Sensei that was already in my bag and went ahead and put it in this backup box. So basically, if I ever lose something or end with an issue, I come right here. You guys even saw in the driver's only video that I did a week or so ago here on the channel, I lost that AJ Destroyer right off the rip. Well, that is a bit of a bummer, real upset that that happened, but thankfully I was able to just go in the box and I actually don't have another destroyer in here. So that's a good reminder of I'm gonna have to go out there and make sure that I grab another destroyer and put it in this box. So it's easy when I travel. I don't have to think about it because I spend time updating it and working whenever I change things around in my bag. I just know that if I need backups to anything, this is my first place that I look right off the bat, and then I pull from other areas and then refill into here. So super helpful in that aspect. You can also feel free to use a travel bag. I know I love the Atlas practice bag for that as well. I end up with the box because it allows me to hold other things in place. And that same box is about the only positive that came away from going to the NADGT championships, besides my friendship with David from Apollo. So that box is cruising for a bruising. It's about to fall apart, and then I'll move into a practice bag. A lot of these are coming from personal experience, and I've kind of evolved in what I bring. And so I remember the first time I played an event and I didn't have backup discs available, which is why the disc got there. Well, this one, I went to Tupelo, Mississippi to play the Weapons of Grass Destruction. And while I was out there, I remember the tournament was in September, I believe. And I was like, oh yeah, it's been super hot. And I went out to play my round, and my round, it was a little chilly. Like I was actually, when I walked out of the hotel that day, I was like, wow, it's way colder than I anticipated. And I did not pack a hoodie. Like I did not pack anything to be warm. I didn't need necessarily pants because it wasn't that cold, but I knew just a little bit of comfort would go a long way. So I actually keep a hoodie as well in my packing stuff. So Union Square hooked me up with this hoodie at the disc golf conference, Northeast Disc Golf Expo that we had up in March, I want to say it was. Thanks to Intern Ben for setting that up. But yeah, Union Square, I keep this hoodie. It's really lightweight, super warm though, really fantastic. And so this one actually stays in my car at all times. So that way, if I end up chilly, whatever, my wife has worn this several times because she's gotten chilly before. So having this hoodie, super, super helpful when it comes to, let's say you have been practicing in afternoon conditions and you're playing MA3. If you're playing MA4, MA3, those divisions typically tee off earlier in the day. If you're doing a tee time start, those tee times usually end up earlier. If you're doing a shotgun start, everybody's gonna have to do the morning round, and it may just be a little chillier than you're expecting. And so having longer sleeves, helpful to have to warm up at least through the first couple holes till your body gets loose, and then you can take the hoodie off. So if you ever spend time with me, you're going to see that I am a big consumer of liquid. That's probably the best way to put it, because if I say I'm a heavy drinker, that has, that has other implications. Anyways, I love to be drinking liquid. Usually it's either Diet Coke or water. And between those two, my rule to keep myself healthy, because I know a lot of you, when you found out what I ate for breakfast, were concerned, and maybe you still should be. But anyways, my rule is for every bottle or glass of Diet Coke I have to have water, the same amount of water on the backside. So I end up just drinking a lot of liquids throughout the day. So for me, especially in these hot summer rounds, I'm drinking 2 full-size 32-ounce Nalgene's every single round full of water. Now, if I'm playing a 2-round tournament, that means, or especially 2 rounds in one day, I'm gonna need extra water. So this cooler actually pretty much stays in my car at all times. That's why I didn't mention it on the grab, but this cooler is filled with water bottles. So Nalgene's that we have acquired as a family over time. I've got freezer packs in here, but I have a ton of water holding apparatus inside of this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5. Obviously this one's smaller, but I have 5 full things of water that stay inside of this cooler. So that way I can refill between rounds. And then usually this one is super cool because it unscrews 2 different ways, but it unscrews and has like a normal drinking top where you can unscrew it all the way. And so because of that, usually on my drive home after I finish, if it's between rounds or whatever, this brown one, you gotta make sure you're staying hydrated even when you're shooting a video inside. This is a super cool cooler. It like packs up, ice mule cooler. I got it from my in-laws as a Christmas present one year. And I'm not sure if it was a stocking stuffer or not, but there are a few Christmas presents that I've ever used as much as this. This literally gets used pretty much every day because if I'm ever driving and I don't have anything to drink, I always know that I have water chilling right behind me. So super, super helpful. Love this cooler. It's like mesh. It's very soft cooler, which means that it's extremely moldable. So I keep it just tucked behind a seat in my car at all times. Ice mule's ready to go. I got my hydration and the Befriendi's water bottle. Got that too. Now, this next item is one that I think some of you are actually going to have in your bag at all times. I love my cup holders, and so my cup holders don't share space with this in my Pioneer, so I actually try to make sure that I just bring it for events and whatnot. That is a retriever. Having a retriever, super, super helpful because once again, especially if you're traveling, you will not know necessarily as well as you could what areas or difficulties your discs might land in, what they might get up to. And so having a retriever available, super, super helpful. Let's say you threw one in the water in the middle of the round, you can grab your backup disc that we talked about earlier, play with it, and then after the rounds are over, after the tournament's over, you can go to your car, get your retriever, and go rescue that disc. So this also makes you look like a hero to all your friends if they don't have a retriever. So definitely recommend having a retriever available and putting in your packing list. So that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I hope that if you are going out to play an event, understands as I walk through this entire list that these are me being very, very cautious and making sure that I have a lot of options available. Once again, I've been burned in lots of the early situations that I talked about of not having this and feeling unprepared. And I don't want to be the guy who is thinking about external factors while I'm also out there trying to play my best event or my best round. Because I've built this packing list, I have most of this kind of stays packed up for me in a corner in my house so that when I'm ready to go, or if I have an event the night before, whatever it may be, I can just simply run through, grab what I need, throw it in the car, and I'm ready to go, ready to travel. So once again, this can be entirely different for many people, and you may feel like you need a much smaller set of things to go compete. Totally fine. I'm also the guy that, like, when I pack, my wife packs lighter than I do, and I am completely okay with that. Why would I not pack 18 pairs of socks for a 4-day trip? What happens if I run through mud several times? Being an overpacker, this is at least what I take, but I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. What are you packing, especially when you're heading to tournaments, things that I missed? So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're going to leave you with the birdie.